stand. Well, Ned, if you'll have a word prayer.
Could we remember Tommy Bones' family in this prayer too, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you very much for this day, and thank you for the opportunity to come here today to gather together to represent our family. We ask that you have a special blessing upon the family of Tommy Bones and be with them, and give them the support and the love and guidance that they need at this time. Lord, this and guide us, and help us to do your will, and help us to act in the best interest that we see. In your name, Father. Amen.
I ain't much here.
Oh, I do know.
Two folders for a reason.
Yes.
We
got some photos.
First time you see it, accepting minutes of the last board meeting. Got a motion, got a second. All in favor. The property that we sold Clifford, Lynette.
Yes, I do have the deed made from the county to Mr. and Ms. Keener. It's my understanding that the bid's already been brought before the court and properly opened and authorized.
And he's paid me for it.
And he just paid you for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this original deed to the clerk. And if you all want to sign it, and then he and his wife can sign it, and then bring it back to have it recorded tomorrow. Is that suitable? I'll pass that down.
So you're going to...
So you all will take care of that right now and sign it maybe after the meeting is over, and then give it to Mr. Keener.
He'll have to take it home.
Yes, yes, and he'll have to get it notarized, or he could, he and his wife could come to the clerk's office and one of the girls could notarize it there.
Thank you, Betty, I know,
She can't notarize herself.
I mean, every girl works up like every office should be in there.
Yeah,
When
we
it's
could
like back to
probably
Candace's
do
office,
that,
she
or
can-
you could bring it to anybody's office. You sign it twice.
She got to work, all right?
We'll get it taken care of.
So that don't take a motion.
They have notice at the bank, you can do it up
I
there.
think it's already been approved.
Okay.
Um,
That says approval, but it actually means accept tax rates from other districts. So they can be placed on tax with a motion.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Next thing you see is Chesapeake Energy. They're going across, I don't think they're crossing the road, cleaning over on Mills Branch. They're boring, and Keynes has looked at it, and
I have the temporary road grant right here. I can give that to Rhonda. It's just a temporary easement that allows them on the county's property. It shouldn't last for long.
okay, got a motion.
Motion.
Second. Yes. This county property thing, I want to table that, motion to table. Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
I want to ask for a motion to rebid the surplus property sale. There was a little mix-up. It was advertised in the paper for 10 o'clock, and it was actually sold at 8. Now I understand, Joe, that they've returned everything.
Everything's hunky-dory.
Okay, and
And I'm sorry for interrupting, but it's my understanding that within the bidding process, we have the right to reject all bids.
Right,
So
right.
since that's the case, and since it didn't follow the procedure,
so do we have to reject in this meeting, or?
Just rebid.
I think we can rebid it. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to just go ahead and reject all the bids, that will be fine, and then we'll just rebid that.
Motion to reject all the bids and
Motion.
rebid.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Two of these county roads, they've not been advertised long enough. We'll take both of these roads up. Yours has not been in. His was just in yesterday's paper. We'll bring out a resolution for the truck.
Yes.
Whereas the laws of the state of Kentucky authorize Martin County Fiscal Court, a duly organized political subdivision, municipal corporation, or similar public entity of the state to purchase, acquire, and lease personal property for the benefit of the governmental entity and its inhabitants, and to enter into a necessary contract, and the governmental entity wants to lease, purchase, and/or finance equipment from Caterpillar Financial Services Corporation and an authorized Caterpillar dealer by entering into that certain governmental equipment lease purchase agreement with Caterpillar, and the form of the agreement has been presented to the governing body of the governmental entity at this meeting. Resolved that the agreement, including all schedules and exhibits attached to the agreement, is approved in substantially the form presented at the meeting with any approved changes as defined below. The governmental entity entered into the agreement with Caterpillar, and the agreement is adopted as a binding obligation of the governmental entity, and that the changes may later be made to the agreement if the changes are approved by the governmental entity's council or members of the governing body of the governmental entity signing the agreement, and that the signing of the agreement and any related documents is conclusive evidence of the approval of the changes, and that the persons listed below, who are the incumbent officers of the governmental entity, be and each is authorized, directed, and empowered on behalf of the governmental entity to sign and deliver to Caterpillar and its successors and assigns the agreement and any related documents, and take or cause to be taken all actions he or she deems necessary, advisable to acquire the equipment, including the signing, delivery of the agreement and the related documents, and that the secretary clerk of the governmental entity is authorized to attest these resolutions and affix the seal of the governmental entity to the agreement, these resolutions, and any related documents, and that nothing in these resolutions, the agreement, or any other document imposes, what is it? Fiduciary?
Close enough.
No idea. Liability or charge upon the general credit of the governmental entity or against its taxing power, except to the extent that the payments payable under the agreement are special limited obligations of the governmental entity as provided in the agreement, that a breach of these resolutions, the agreement, or any related document will not impose any fiduciary liability upon the governmental entity or any charge upon its general credit or against its taxing power, except to the extent that the payments under the agreement are special limited obligations of the governmental entity as provided in the agreement, and that the authority granted by these resolutions will apply equally with the same effect to the successors in the office of the authorized persons. I, blank, Martin County Fiscal Court, certify that the resolutions are above are a full, true, and correct copy of the resolutions of the governing body of the governmental entity. Also certify that the resolutions were duly and regularly passed and adopted at a meeting of the governing body of the governmental entity. I also certify that such meeting was duly and regularly called and held in all respects as required by the law at the governmental entity's office. I also certify that at such meeting, a majority of the governing body of the governmental entity was present and voted in favor of these resolutions. I also certify that these resolutions are still in force and effect and have not been amended or revoked. In witness of these resolutions, the officer named below executes this document on behalf of the governmental entity.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
That's for the dozer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said truck, but it is
For
for
the dozer. It's got a, is it?
There's a place for all of you gentlemen.
It's got a winch and all that, right?
Just
To
check.
pass. There's only 3 signatures,
Back over the same
and
one?
extra lines on there.
not on this one, it's not, I think. the back
No, it's on the
is a
first
little
one.
different.
Okay. Probably have to be a separate one.
What was it on the
Yes.
No,
On the
No.
first one.
That's in front.
What are you looking
yeah.
Darrell Neal, is your name.
I don't know about that. This is print or type, I figured I'd have signed.
Just go ahead and sign it and then whatever you all have to sign.
Next thing you see, guys, is, finance. Motion for the appropriation and cash transfer list.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Motion to pay bills.
Motion.
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?